We stumbled upon the makings of a cult.
Rogers County deputies arrest a man accused of beating his pregnant wife.
I am most definitely capable of ending a life.
Dozens of videos of James Saroka mentally and emotionally abusing his wife.
Brainwashing her.
Investigators say Saroka completely cut her off from the outside world, but because of
Last week, something amazing happened. James Saroka was finally arrested for assault and battery of his pregnant girlfriend. Something that isn't a new thing for Jimmy here, since he's admitted to hitting his girlfriend in the past, and even done so on live stream.
One does bad things, no one needs to judge. I appreciate that, but I hit a woman. So it's kind of like forgiveness is a necessity. The reason I crossed that line is because Caitlin had lied so heavily, and that just really upset me. And so we got in a tussle, and it wasn't good. She is terrified of me, and she has every right to be. I hit you, and you are still trying to hug me. Why am I smiling? Because I'm in love, and I finally see how wrong I was about myself. I'm a good man. I'm a decent man.
But now James is currently sitting in jail with a $25,000 bond. So it's likely James is going to stay in jail until his court date, which is set for August 5th. His girlfriend is now currently with her parents and is safe. They've stated that she and the baby are both healthy, and they just want to be left alone without having any more attention brought onto them. So I won't be mentioning them by name or showing them in this video. The arresting officer's incident report for the probable cause affidavit read, on July 25th, 2021 at approximately 8:20 p.m., I, Deputy Dorsey, was dispatched to redacted in reference to a fight. Dispatch advised that the reporting party observed a male strike a pregnant female in the face multiple times in front of the Rogers County Pond building. When I arrived at location, I observed the male and female walking eastbound on the north side of Highway 20. Upon making contact with the male, he was hostile towards law enforcement officers and used language that is commonly associated with that of a sovereign citizen. The male repeatedly refused to identify himself to any deputies present. Deputies were only able to ascertain the male's identity by locating his driver's license. The male, identified through his Pennsylvania driver's license, James Saroka, refused to answer questions that officers asked. The female was visibly pregnant and exhibited multiple indicators of battered woman syndrome. She was extremely reluctant to answer any questions to law enforcement and attempted to ask James permission to talk on several occasions. The reporting party redacted and her husband redacted both wrote statements stating that they observed James hit her in the face 3 times. When the male witness intervened, he stated that James told him that he would not interfere if him and his wife were having an argument and not to interfere in his. James's girlfriend was extremely uncomfortable talking to anyone other than James the entire time. She did admit that she had no money, no car, and has no place to go or anyone to call. This is also evidence indicative of a domestic abuse type of relationship. No contact with the outside world other than spouse, no access to any financial means, reluctance to talk to anyone other than the spouse, and feeling obligated to ask the spouse for permission to do things as common as answering questions to anyone other than the spouse. Due to the allegations that were made by the reporting party and the indicators that James's girlfriend exhibited, James was placed under arrest for assault and battery on a pregnant female. James was transported to the detention facility and released to the custody of the jail staff without incident. So it seems like they were outside a pawn shop when the assault took place that prompted a witness to call the police after James was hostile towards him and his wife when confronting James about hitting his girlfriend. They were found walking along the highway and the cops went to talk to them. They could instantly see that James's girlfriend was unwell because she literally wouldn't answer any questions without being coached by James or having his permission, which resulted in James getting charged with interfering with an officer. They also cite that James' girlfriend is visibly pregnant, which would mean that she's probably further along than anyone initially thought, because they only announced that she was pregnant in mid-June. I would also really like to know what James was saying that would be synonymous with a sovereign citizen. For anyone who's not familiar with what a sovereign citizen is someone who believes that they, not judges, juries, law enforcement, or elected officials, should decide which laws to obey and which to ignore. So was he pulling his equality stick again like he was doing in the last video I made on him, when he was trying to justify hitting a woman as an act of equality? He also agreed to be interviewed by Sen on my channel, shout out to Sen, before changing his mind and then challenging a woman to a fist fight for equality. How did that even, what? I get in trouble if I punch you, because if you mean real equality where we put gloves on, I am so down. Excited for one woman not taking shots at me and then using her gender as an excuse to hide and play victim after picking a fight. Like, what? I can fight back if you give me permission. So I asked, why would you want to punch them? James says, because I'm angry. This is what the deputy sheriff had to say about James when he was arresting him.
When you see the mental and emotional abuse that he's exposed her to, and the whole way he's just been digging his hooks into her deeper and, brainwashing her. She's afraid of talking to the outside world. Has no control over the finances. She has no control over what she can do or where she can go.
So you're probably wondering, how the fuck did we get here? How did James go from having supposedly 2 stable jobs with a roof over his head to being homeless, jobless, and living out of a car with his pregnant girlfriend aimlessly driving across America while James tries to become a social media celebrity for the billionth time? I wanted to know as well, so here's what I was able to dig up. Last I checked on James was a month or 2 before Christmas 2020. He was living in South Carolina in an apartment with his girlfriend and working at the Hy-Vee near him. He was also posting his usual TikTok cringe and seemed to be doing alright, at least for James. But it wasn't too long after that one of James' neighbors reached out to a few members of the anti-saroka community after hearing and seeing James verbally and physically assault his girlfriend on multiple occasions. During this time, we were trying to figure out how the best way to remove his girlfriend from the situation was. That clearly wasn't getting any better, even without internet trolls or people trying to control his life, as he claims like Josh or his foster parents did. James is still just as toxic. The person that we were in contact with said that they were recording everything to give over to law enforcement as evidence, and that him and his wife were trying to convince James' girlfriend to press charges on him and get her out of that toxic relationship. The sent him spooking though, and he instead moved to Florida right after Christmas, or so he claims. There's not much documented from James' time in Florida, or what he says is Florida. The reason I'm skeptical is because if you're fleeing people you know are trying to get you arrested for domestic abuse, why would you state where you moved to after, if you're on the run? Maybe I'm also giving him too much credit, I don't know. Then in mid-April, James started posting to Facebook that he started 2 new jobs, one at Burger King and one as a manager in training at Turkey Hill Markets. I don't know how credible this is due to the fact that he reposted a post he made in 2018 about going to college and listed that he was presently going there again, which wouldn't be feasible if James was actually working 2 jobs and as broke as he obviously is. He wouldn't have the time or money, but he must have been working somewhere because he was paying his rent somehow. So in my opinion, I think the Burger King job was probably real. Then James started posting a lot of old pictures to what appeared to me as reminiscing. So I think James got scared that his life was going to change into a very repetitive norm. So he took whatever money he had, bought a car, convinced his girlfriend to abandon their only sense of security, and in the midst of having a baby, to aimlessly travel and try to become internet famous by rambling nonsense on the regular. Oh yeah, he also started calling himself DJ Talbot. I'm not sure where that came from. Anyone who's familiar with my old videos knows that James doesn't have a musical bone in his body because he was blatantly stealing other smaller content creators' music and re-uploading it as his own. So DJ Talbot, aka fucking James here, is just all of a sudden homeless one day, creeping outside Panera Bread.
So right now I'm like covert at Panera.
Where he discloses his plan: travel across America using subscription services at fast food places to live off of, and then while they're eating in the parking lot, they can use the restaurant's free Wi-Fi to stream, and that's just going to be life for James and his pregnant girlfriend, apparently.
A lot of these places, they're having these subscriptions now, and it's so nice because I can sit and I can use the Wi-Fi and I can get all the food I want, depending on, you know, how the day's looking. And on top of it all, I now get to be here with you and share the days with you.
This was also around the time that James thought staying alive was a superpower.
Hi, my name is James Saroka, and my superpower is staying alive.
And it was back on his kick of making a kids-friendly YouTube channel where he asks his audience questions they can't answer because A, the comments are disabled for kids channels. And the questions he was asking wouldn't apply to kids anyways, like using rest stops when driving on the highway.
Do you use rest stops when you're driving on the highway? And when you do you like going to ones that are bigger?
And showing them how to feed feral squirrels. Speaking of feral squirrels, this one in particular, James named Bob, and was his only friend for whatever amount of time they were in Bob's area.
This is my friend. His name is Bob the Squirrel. He likes peanut butter. Come on. That's right, I have peanut butter.
James would then frequent zoos after this and try to make more animal friends, as he seems to have given up hope on any kind of human friends, to either make his girlfriend pity him or just appear as a more sensitive, caring dude.
You see what he's doing at his feet? You know why?
No.
He thinks he sees dinner. I saw a monkey. I looked at him, and he looked at me, and we became best friends. It's a fact. He looked at me and said, "You are the only one that hears me. Why will you not get me out?" And I said, "Sir, I am in a cage too." We bonded. I moved on with my day. He was eating food, but I didn't have any. The irony. The lion was feral and shy. And that was a bit disappointing because I wanted to see the lion and spend time with the lion and befriend the lion and maybe clean his teeth with my fingers.
Wow, all these animals love James Saroka. We must be wrong about him.
Animals are dumb. Nearing the end of June, James was starting to unravel into his usual mental delusions of winning in life when he's actually losing. This is the worst it's ever been, I'm pretty sure. And doing his typical cyclical content shift. From making a YouTube channel into a gaming channel, even though he's homeless and doesn't own a PC or game console.
I'm probably gonna convert this channel to gaming.
and have a vlog here and there with you. Maybe.
James will post every year that he's either a Call of Duty mobile pro or semi-pro, despite never showing his actual ranking, and even if he does, who the fuck plays Call of Duty mobile? It was also shortly after this that James was joking about he would never go to jail, and saying people who made videos on him should die, which is kind of a yikes.
Do you condone violence? It's a real question. Because I have decisions to make, and I have to consult you. Jail? No. I'll eat a grape. But then I think to myself, I'm like, if I have people attempting to entrap me for being homeless and want to put me in jail anyway, do I hit two birds with one stone? Literally. There's a dude that made a bunch of videos, and like, does he need to die?
It was also during this rant that he expresses how lonely he would feel just living with his girlfriend and their baby stably in a house.
Like, they're two individuals living under the same roof. And I never even fully knew that that's really how people live until a couple of months ago. And now that I know that, I'm like, wow, that's a lonely life. That's a real lonely life. And it may seem interesting and exciting and, oh, well, I get to do what I want, you get to do what you want, we're all happy. But I'm not seeing the happiness part. I'm not seeing the part where there's the happiness.
Which leads me to believe that this road trip that never ends was James' idea. After getting freaked the fuck out that he was just gonna be some regular dude. I guess this is more exciting, huh? His plan for work was just to stream shirtless in a car about how he's homeless but somehow winning.
Yeah, the best part is I didn't get played, because if I did, I'd be in jail right now. They lost. I won. Our life continues to progressively rise the way it used to. The difference is I'm cutting people out this time. I'm saying, hey, if I'm working, I'm working. And look, for example, I'm here with you, I'm working.
He also likes to put on this tough act and act as though he's his girlfriend's protector and stands up to all these men who disrespect her, when in reality he's brainwashed her and disrespected her more than anyone else probably could.
What on earth makes you think you're breathing into the next day if you come within 6 feet without respect of the woman I love? There was a guy at a gas station a while back, and I go up to him, and I'm having polite words the whole time, right? So like, the lady there, she called the cops, and we didn't end up talking to him, but he pushes me, and he he caused some sort of bruising or something. He did something to my chest. I had a hard time breathing for a couple of weeks, and that's whatever. I'm not gonna let that happen twice, but I didn't expect it to hurt later. Otherwise, I probably would have fought back a little bit. This is my wife. This is my family. I don't know, when I say they're gonna, I mean all of American society, all of the world society is going to respect my wife. My wife is to be respected.
And then if all these intimidation tactics don't work, James will just say he'll look up anyone's information who disrespects his girlfriend, even on stream, and then he'll send his friends after you. Luckily, we all know that James has no friends.
Be careful if you're going to disrespect my wife, because I have a lot of friends, and I will do research and find out who you are. And I mean when I say, if you disrespect my wife, you're going to regret it. It's a fact. I am a very real person, and I have very real fists. And if I remember your name, and I remember your face, and you're behaving this way on the internet, and I come find you in real life, and you have a conversation in real life with me about that, you're gonna regret having ever said it. If the white vans come around, I'm not afraid anymore. I will do nasty, horrible things to your sexual organs if you come anywhere near my family. I'm letting you know. I sleep with my eyes open. So, yeah. Human trafficking, it's not gonna happen. I'm simply gonna like do horrible, 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 nasty things to an individual who probably deserves it anyway, so.
What the fuck is he talking about? White vans? It sounds like some serial killer shit. He also goes into his other run-ins with the cops and how he's able to evade arrest by smooth talking his way out of sticky situations, which probably gave him the false confidence to say whatever he did to get arrested by the cop that thought he was a sovereign citizen.
As far as the police go, since COVID hit and since we've been out here, we had a couple of unfortunate experiences and uncomfortable conversations, but as our morale continued to go up and we continued to build our confidence and
really believe in ourselves and push through it without going to jail or without getting tickets or any of that. And you got to stay a little clever. That's true too. So you have to keep it on the up and up as much as you can. It's almost impossible not to get incarcerated. I mean, like, it's almost impossible. And the police aren't bad people, but I think no different than the rest of us in our careers and in our life, we can be opportunists, right? And so if the opportunity presents itself, are you gonna say no?
James had also come to the realization that the terrorists are blacklisting him from all social media, not the social media platforms themselves for the countless violations of their terms of service for scamming and inciting violence. No, it's the terrorists that are blacklisting him.
Whether you know it or not, I am entirely blacklisted on every single social media platform, and I am still getting this amount of we have this many people here, and that's huge. And I'm not blacklisted by the platforms themselves. I'm blacklisted by, groups of terrorists. Not even kidding you.
During July, James's girlfriend continued to travel and live stream eating wet food out of napkins.
I'm sitting here eating mashed potatoes and mac and cheese wrapped up in a napkin, and I'm ingesting half the napkin. It tastes great. Napkin. That was pretty good.
And having concerning dialogue with people off camera.
Live stream gets me so hyped. Can I help you? Make sure Dad's pulling out. Because when Dad doesn't pull out, babies show up.
I have no idea what the fuck the other end of this conversation would have to be for James to be like, oh, can I help you? Well, make sure your dad pulls out or else babies will come. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Is he soliciting his girlfriend? Is this like just giving some other homeless people valuable advice so they don't end up in the same situation he's in? Did they ask him for condoms? Is that your response when someone asks you for a condom? To just pull out, or else babies will come. What the fuck am I watching here? I fucked with the audio too to try to hear what the other party was saying, but I can't hear anything.
Live stream gets me so hyped. Can I help you? Make sure Dad's pulling out. Because when Dad doesn't pull out, babies show up.
It's like maybe no one was standing there at all. Maybe this is all in his head. I don't know. This clip really weirded me out. James also started exhibiting his usual paranoid behavior, describing being gang stalked. A common trait among clinically paranoid people, where if they see the same person twice or on a regular basis, their mind jumps to the conclusion that they're being stalked. These people identify themselves as targeted individuals, and there's been no evidence to suggest that they're actually being stalked. It seems like all of this is in their mind.
I was so freaking paranoid in the beginning because I was like, why are all these people following me? Why this or why that? And they were, and that's for real. This is where it has to be. This is where it has. I know. I see some people don't want to hear that. Then you can't relate, and you're judging me, and you can't relate. You don't understand where I'm at. You don't know where my life is. It's not a personal decision or an excuse. It's like if we stop, it's bad. So I cannot explain that right now. I cannot. But I think a lot of you at this point, with as much information that has been disseminated into society about what's going on with the media and everything, I think you guys now know that I was telling the truth back then, or at least I hope you do. And this is where we're at. So it's a good space to be. It's a good start.
So the normal people are the crazy ones, not James. This is also the first glimpse we get of the walkie-talkies James made his girlfriend take with her everywhere, even if she was only a few meters away. You can see he takes one here as he goes to the washroom and talks on it as he comes back.
All right.
Do you read? Hello?
Kind of minding my own business and watching all these people get arrested, and I have a brain and I use it.
Hello?
Здравствуйте, приятно вас знакомиться. How are you?
Good.
Ivan forgot to sleep.
Not yet.
10-4.
What?
I love you!
I love you too.
When James' girlfriend was picked up by her family, they said that she wouldn't let go of the walkie-talkie and kept crying that James is so alone and needs her to survive, fully brainwashed. She was clinging to this walkie-talkie. She would not let go of it. About a week into July, James starts to ramble like a nutcase on LSD, saying he's having all these experiences in his mind without leaving the car, and he's vibing with psychotic criminals.
So it's like I can relate and connect with people who've been through some massively psycho experiences. It's proof that the science of the mind is way more true than the science of the nurturing in your mind. You can go through the equivalent of some
super heavy stuff in your mind and never leave the car. I have a lot of vibing that I'm doing with people. I'm vibing with people that are like hyper conducively violent criminals, and I'm vibing with people that are like trained veteran paramilitary and police officers. I'm 26 now. I don't even know what the hell's going on.
He chops this up to something big going down, like what? Like dropping acid? Or having another near miss with a cop? Like what the fuck happened?
No, I'm being super cryptic today and not talking a lot. That should probably tell you that something big went down.
It is around this time of July that James and his girlfriend made their way back to their hometown of Pennsylvania, where James's sister disclosed that they stayed at James's biological mom's place for one night before begging for money to stay at hotels.
Get ready for the dry bag. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. If you can't handle it, leave. If you can't handle it, leave. If you can handle it, stick around. It's coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Does anyone want to buy us a hotel tonight? And by that I mean, who's doing it tonight? Because we sure need help.
Which he was successful in doing, because then he started streaming him and his girlfriend in the shower.
I'm gonna take the shower, and I'm hoping that whenever I peek back out, that y'all are talking, saying some Periscope was my prep, my trial room. Or
I hope your baby doesn't see this. It's so embarrassing.
Yo, if I'm a clown, I'm it. Don't go near the gutter, bitch.
So after the brief stay in Pennsylvania, they headed to Oklahoma, where someone started to go around to hotels passing out flyers showing James and warning them not to let him stay there due to his domestic abuse against his girlfriend and scamming guests. During their hotel hopping, James and his girlfriend's fight were escalating to the point where people around him were calling the cops for domestic disturbances, and James was bragging about being able to trick the cops basically and talk his way out of trouble.
See it right now? Is it bob and weave? Is it bob and weave time? Ask the police. Yesterday was bob and weave time. I had a bob and weave for good, I think 8 hours. How long was it? What? I'm bragging over here. Are you embarrassed about that? Yo, there's people to go far longer than that, honey. Oh yeah. And far worse. You and I had a freaking argument. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. We're gonna survive.
It was also during this time that James disclosed that he either gave away or sold their car, leaving them stranded in Oklahoma.
Somebody has my car, and I'm not really sure what to do about that or to contact them or whatever, but they technically didn't steal it, so I'm at a point where I'm like, whatever, let's hope that he's doing the right thing with whatever. I don't really care what happens to it. Everybody won. That's a great situation. Everybody won.
James was pretty vague about it, but he states that it wasn't stolen, and that him not having a car and whoever has the car now, that it was beneficial towards both of them somehow, even though I don't see how that could be the case unless he got some money for it.
I'm curious as what's going to happen to my vehicular device that is in existence somewhere in the state of Oklahoma, hopefully, but whatever, someone steal my car. Not that I'm aware of. I cannot confirm or deny. I don't know. I seriously don't know. So, I don't think so. Pretty surely. I don't know.
2 weeks before James' arrest, he was saying that he was planning on staying in Oklahoma and raising his kid there in the hotel, as he said it was inexpensive and food was just across the street. And he doesn't need to leave his room to e-beg for a living while playing Call of Duty as well.
Literally where we're at, I mean, the place we're staying is so inexpensive. And there's a Walmart across the street. Like, what else do we need? It's 21st century America. I work on the internet. I got a roof over my head. My family's by my side. The room is huge, and I mean literally, even for the baby, it's like this is a mansion for us. And then food's across the street, and like everything else. So right here is good. If there's anybody that does Call of Duty, because they got the Call of Duty Mobile World Series going on right now.
He also said around this time that if police came to investigate him, he would sue the town? What?
If they come to investigate, if the police do come here to investigate or to bother me, if they knock on that door and I am in the middle of work and they have not done the proper procedure to make sure whether or not there is any danger, I can sue the town.
I don't think it works like that, but okay. He then did what he called an 8-hour live stream, which consisted more of like 3 to 4 hours, where he got really angry at his audience after pitching his OnlyFans idea for like the millionth time.
I figured if I'm gonna make it OnlyFans, there has to be an app for it. I got a couple of fans, and I need a platform that's only for them. So, OnlyFans is so naughty. I'm probably gonna, at some point, OnlyFans is, kind of, in my viewpoint, a next step. So, I plan to do OnlyFans. I am always 6 steps ahead of it. And I mean, always. So, know that I am where I want to be at all times.
What happened to it? You sucked my cock. That's what happened to it. I fucked your mother. That's what happened to it. How do I get paid to play Call of Duty? Well, first you use Google and you figure that shit out yourself because you're a lazy fuck. And if you want to know shit, you can look it up.
I don't give a fuck. Listen, and I'm going to say this straight, and CPS can see it. The police can see it. I don't give a fuck what the police think. I don't give a fuck what CPS thinks. Neither does my girlfriend.
After that, James only posted to Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat before getting arrested 2 weeks later for assault and battery on his girlfriend while leaving the pawn shop and walking along the highway.
Deputies say a witness saw Saroka beating on his pregnant wife as they were walking along Highway 20 in Claremore on Sunday. When deputies got there, Saroka refused to talk to them, and the victim kept asking Saroka for permission to talk. That's when deputies knew something was wrong and say she showed signs of battered women's syndrome. Deputies later learned the victim's family had been searching for her for the last 3 years. They say Saroka and the victim have been traveling around the country, living in hotels.
And so ends the tale of James Saroka. For now, at least until his court date, which is set for August 5th. Right now, he's looking at a maximum sentence of 1 year in jail. I honestly never thought I'd see the day that James went to jail. You see a lot of other people skirt the law. Nothing ever seems to happen to him, like Anision, EDP, EBZ, Mini Lad, but not this fucker, so I'm happy. James's girlfriend is safe and with her parents. The sheriff told ABC that when he contacted the parents, they drove so fast that he didn't even think they stopped to pack. They came, put her in the car, and left before the sheriff was even able to take a statement from them. So, happy ending for once. We don't get a lot of those. If you guys have any more questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this in-depth look at James's final moments leading up to his arrest. Until James's court date, I love you all, and I will see you next time.
That's it.